All right, so this video is for promoting student motivation. All right, so we can look at all the theories of motivation. That's great, but what about in the classroom? How can a teacher help promote healthy student motivation? All right, so one way we can think about this is that, generally speaking, there are two types of classroom. We have what's called a mastery-focused classroom, and this is where we emphasize effort. We recognize that mistakes are going to be made. We just want to correct those mistakes and have continual improvement. We're going to develop understanding, and the reasons that we might do assessment is to just measure progress and provide effective feedback. So essentially, with the mastery-focused classroom, that's essentially what we want to focus on: mastery. How can we make sure students are properly developing these skills? Okay. The other type of classroom is a performance-focused classroom. Here, it's kind of all about the grades, right? We're going to emphasize grades, and even then high grades, correct answers, and sometimes we see performance as being kind of compared to others. So success and the value of everything, grades, grades, grades. Reason for satisfaction, why you might be happy, because you got good grades, right? Or you got the maximum grade possible with the least amount of effort, right? If you have an error, because grades are such a focus, if any kind of error or mistake along the way, well, that's a basis for concern or possible anxiety, because now I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so assessments, instead of being to see how you're doing and measure overall progress towards the goal, no, it's determine grades, all right? So generally speaking, students will probably respond a little bit better with the mastery-focused classroom because they have the opportunity to learn and grow and continue to progress. Within that, there are three components that we have to consider, three different areas that will contribute towards this. Number one, the teacher. Number two, the overall learning environment and climate. And then three, the actual instruction that is done. All these things factor into promoting positive student motivation. All right, so from the teacher standpoint, we want to see what are the personal qualities that you have and that are bringing to the table that can help, right? Do you possess good quality teaching skills? Can you actually teach, right? Are you able to model those positive behaviors? Do you have a genuine care and affection for your students and making sure that you have realistic but positive expectations of them, right? So what are you bringing to the table? As far as the learning environment and that climate overall in the classroom, we want to see, is everything ordered? Is everything organized? Is there a set routine that's going to help them feel, all right, I know what's going to happen. I know what to expect. Do they feel safe, right? Do we have that warm, open environment? Do we challenge them in appropriate ways? And do we know how they can be successful? Do they kind of know that? And then with the instruction itself, right? So you have the qualities as a teacher. You got the environment set up perfectly. That doesn't mean necessarily that when you start teaching, they are going to pay attention, right? They're not going to be necessarily motivated to learn. So how can we do that? One way is what we call an introductory focus. So what is something, as you're starting to teach something new for the first time, how can we grab their attention, right? What is it that we can get them really excited and interested in about this new concept that we're going over that will pull them in? And as we do that, we can kind of consider as well, all right, the students that I have, either them individually, specifically the ones I have this year, or this particular age group in general, what are they interested in, right? So anytime we can personalize the instruction to those particular learners, we're going to have greater success, right? So if we're teaching things that are relevant to them, that they're interested in, we're going to get that involvement. The other thing that we can look at is how can we get them to participate more, right? What's the involvement process? Like, are we going to break them into small groups and have them start interacting with each other? Can we call on them to come up and perform part of a lesson or assignment? And again, because we have a mastery-focused classroom where it's okay to make mistakes, that's part of the learning process, we can increase the type of motivation that we're going to get, right? But we want to get students involved as much as possible, so they're not just sitting there passively. But no, we want them to be actively engaged, actively part of that learning process. So if we can kind of encapsulate those three areas, the teacher, learning climate, and the instruction, all that will help us increase student motivation.